All right, so I'm Jonathan. A little bit about myself. I'm a principal developer at Atlassian. December, I will start my 9th year at Atlassian. I was one of the architects when Stride started for the entire Stride platform. I am currently on the ecosystem team at Stride. We do all things bot and app related. So altogether, I have a lot of technical information in my head about Atlassian's platform, the Stride platform, Jira, Bitbucket, Confluence, none of which is going to be in this presentation tonight. So instead of giving you a lot of technical information, what I'm going to do is give you a very quick overview of the things you can do as a developer to integrate with Stride. I'm not going to get into exactly which API endpoints we have or how to listen to a webhook, because I think we can all read about that. So let's get into the way we think about it at Stride. So we think about tokens, apps, and bots. And those are the three sort of ways you can integrate with Stride. I'll tell you what I mean by sort of in a minute. But let's start off with tokens. So this is the very minimum way you can integrate with Stride. Basically, a token is a way to send a message to a room, to a single room. So basically, you get a token, you can use that in a shell script, you can use it in curl, you can use it in a cron job, doesn't matter. But the only thing you can do is send a message to a room. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone here. I'm going to show you how to set up a token, but I'm also going to describe to you how both developers and end users discover and use apps inside of Stride. So if you look at the little highlighted thing up there, we have a little cog on the sidebar. And if you click that thing, it opens up the app sidebar. So this is going to show you all the apps you have installed. Currently, we don't have any apps installed. So if I click the little plus button at the top, it's going to bring me to the Discover Apps screen. Now, if you look at all the stuff that's not highlighted, these are all kinds of apps that you can discover inside of Stride. So anybody that registers an app with Stride, you can show up here, you can search for apps. This is how users can discover different apps, different bots, right in product, one click, put it in their room, done. As a developer, you want a token, you can go ahead and click on the Connect Your Own App. When you do that, it's going to bring up this screen, and you'll notice it has the token tab highlighted. The other tab says installation URL, and that is to install full-blown apps, which we'll get to a little bit later. But just to create a quick token, you basically give your token a name, and you select a room. The room I've selected is called Werewolf. More on that later. And then when you create your token, it'll give you the token, which is blank here because security. And then it also gives you a curl that you can just copy, paste, boom, you've sent a message to the room. You can see it in the room. So once you click done, you go back to the room, and now you'll notice in our app sidebar, it has my JD EcoWolf token. Now, this is interesting because it's a token. The only thing it can be used from is a shell script or a curl or cron job, but we still surface it here in this user interface so that there's no shady bots hiding in rooms listening to all your messages, right? Every user can see even the API tokens that are being used in a room. So moving on to apps. Apps, unlike tokens, can do pretty much anything that an app can do in Stride. So it can use any API, it can plug into the UI, it can listen to webhooks, it can do all kinds of stuff. So here are the stuff apps are made out of. APIs. You all know what APIs are. We have endpoints, you can create rooms, you can send messages, you can modify rooms, you can get history, REST APIs. Webhooks. The inverse of REST APIs. Now you're subscribing and you're getting messages, you're getting events about those rooms that are created, you're getting events about users joining and leaving rooms, you're getting all the information you could care about as an app from Stride. I'm not going to really talk about those. That's about as much as I have to say about them. We have a lot of docs online. You can go read them and figure out how to plug those things together. The last bit is the UI. And this is where the wow happens. This is where end users really get a lot of value out of interacting with your app's bots, that sort of thing. So to create an app, we have Atlassian has a website. It's called developer.atlassian.com. You can go there. And we have this create an app screen. What this lets you do is type in a name, give it a description, and hit create. And basically, you've created an app. Now, there's a couple tabs here. You can go to the enable APIs, and it'll ask you, do you want to talk to the user's API? Do you want to upload files? That sort of thing. You can enable those, disable those. Install will help you get your descriptor, ask you for a URL, that ngrok thing we were talking about earlier. I landed on this particular page because it has that one checkbox that says enable bot account. You check that box, you're now a bot. That is the sort of third way to integrate, right? Apps, bots, and app is a bot. So let's talk about what apps can do. Well, sorry, don't mean to blow your mind. So the first thing we have here, this little box is a glance. You're currently looking at the Bitbucket glance. You can have a glance. You don't need to have a glance, but you can. And a glance can also get updates. And basically, the update is either a number or a piece of text. So in this case, Bitbucket could show me the number of open pull requests I have in my glance. So I don't, as a user, I don't have to look around at anything to figure out. I don't have to open anything. In this particular case, when you click on the glance, it's going to open up a sidebar. So this is what we're calling the sidebar, and you can see it shows me a whole bunch of PRs. Thanks, Kristen. So these are my open PRs. So this means when Bitbucket is pinging me cards in the chat view, which I've taken away for you, but you get these card stacks in your history, and they go by, right? And then chat happens, and they're lost. You can always just click the Bitbucket glance, get the sidebar open, and those are all of your cards. Now, when you click a glance, you have control. It doesn't have to open this sidebar. It can also pop open a dialog, right? So there, in any place where you can have a clickable item in the UI, you can choose to open a sidebar, you can choose to pop a dialog, you can choose to make REST calls, whatever you want. In this case, we've popped this dialog. It's the config for Bitbucket. So I can go ahead and search for repositories and select them and say, hey, Bitbucket, ping me in this room whenever a PR happens, somebody commits, that sort of thing. The thing about these UIs is they're completely app generated. So we're going out to your app and saying, hey, please give me the UI to the screen that you told me was your config screen, or give me all the UI for this particular sidebar. And you can have multiples of these things, right? You don't just get one sidebar or one dialogue. You can have as many as you want. So another place you can integrate in the UI is down here. We have these little buttons. These are little action buttons. We put enough there so it's usable, and then we have the plus button in case there's more. In this case, we have a little stand-up bot that we use across Atlassian to put our stand-ups. I can create this little, click the little button that says create stand-up report, and it'll pop a UI and let me fill in my stand-up. Again, these are completely configured by your app, so you can add whatever you want there. You can tell it, I want you to open a particular sidebar, pop a thing, do a REST call, do whatever you need to do. Similar to that, every single message has a little meatball. You can drop it down. We have some built-in things like editing this particular message or deleting this message. But you can also contribute to this as an app. When you contribute to this as an app, when they click your action, you're going to get a handle to that particular message. And so if you wanted to do something special in context of a single message, you can put a message action here. All right. So that brings us to bots and apps. Like I said, I'm not going to talk a lot about bots. We had 3 ways to integrate, but really there's just 2 because bots are just apps that are mentionable, right? So I can do anything I want to in an app, and if I click that little box that says I'm a bot, we go, great, now you have an app mention. Also, somebody can start a one-to-one with you. And that's it. That is the difference between an app and a bot. So I believe that brings me to what I feel is the most important topic of tonight. Werewolves. Show of hands, quick show of hands, how many people have heard of the game Werewolf? All right, a few people. For those of you who haven't heard of the game, it's a psychological party game, I would call it. And it basically goes like this. You get a bunch of people, put them around a table, tell a bunch of them that they're villagers, you tell a few of them that they're werewolves, and then you have a special person called a seer who can see who's a werewolf and who's not, a special person called a healer who can protect somebody from getting eaten by werewolves. And so what happens is night falls, werewolves wake up, they choose somebody to kill, they get killed, daytime comes, all the villagers go, oh my gosh, somebody killed Bob. And then they talk amongst themselves, try to figure out who the werewolf is, and then ultimately end up lynching somebody, which usually ends up in a message saying, oh, you lynched the wrong person, that wasn't a werewolf. This goes on and on and on until there's either no werewolves left or more werewolves than villagers, and then the game ends. This is a highly popular game at Atlassian events. So if you go to an Atlassian summit or you go to Atlas Camp, if it's 2 in the morning, you surely will find a table somewhere that has lots of beer and lots of people with their heads down doing this. So popular, in fact, that one of the first few Stride apps that was written is something called StrideWolf. So here we are back in our room, which now you can probably understand why it's called EcoWolf. This is the Ecosystem Werewolf room. You can see that my token's still installed, but that's it. So here, StrideWolf has checked the thing that says, hey, I'm a bot, so now it shows up in our mention picker. So I @mentioned StrideWolf, and a second or two later, StrideWolf's now installed. I don't need to click through UIs. I don't need to find an app in an app store. I mentioned StrideWolf, boom, it's installed. You can also see a cute little wolf over there. It's got a cute little glance. If I click on that glance, it gives me some useful information. Hey, to start a game, type in /werewolf. All right. So we type in /werewolf. He says, hey, I'll start a game. I invite my friends. It says, hey, just @mention StrideWolf. They @mention StrideWolf. We collect enough players. You can see over here in the sidebar, it's now changed. It says, oh, hey, we're just waiting for players. I can show and hide a player list. All right, we're good to go. And StrideWolf has received our webhooks and all that other good stuff. So now we have enough people, it's daytime, and everybody gets to see who they are. So on my sidebar, it says, hey, you're a villager. For me, I'm probably gonna get eaten. But what's interesting is these sidebars are context sensitive. So if I look at my teammates' Stride clients, one of them says they're a werewolf. One of them is a healer. So this is all context sensitive. Everybody's sidebars are changing independently based on the information that StrideWolf has about what's going on in the room. So now, if you read the bottom message here, we started the game. The StrideWolf says, hey, healer, please choose someone to protect from the werewolves. Use your sidebar. Now, in the healer sidebar, their list has turned into buttons automatically. So now they can click on one of those. It knows who they're going to protect. And now we play the game. I said, hey, I think PK is a werewolf. Kristen didn't want to talk about it. She's just like, yep, let's just lynch PK, man. He's gone. So StrideWolf picked up that she voted on the / command and said, hey, we need another one. So then I say, hey, yeah, let's go. Let's lynch PK. And he was sentenced to die and died. Villagers win. Yay! Awesome. So, let's see where I'm at here. We're not limited. I mean, this is fun, and it shows you how all the little bits can fit together, right? How you can use @mentions, webhook, Go.
Your mic died for the last part.
Yeah. All right.
So can I get that URL again?
Yeah, it's on the screen. developer.atlassian.com/cloud/stride. That you can sign up for the EAP there. There's all the docs. There's a document builder. There's a thing that'll help you create your app descriptors. All kinds of good stuff in there. So there you go.
Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Over that?
So the sidebar dialogues, those like richer UI elements, are those like web elements, or are you specifying that as like a series of message payloads?
No, those are web elements. Build whatever you want and service back the UI. There's also a JavaScript API embedded inside of Stride so that you can interact with the UI itself via JavaScript.
And when you showed the like sidebar that showed the card like pull requests,
Mm-hmm.
that's just a web view, or is that like an aggregated like extraction of the messages that were sent?
I'm trying to think of how it was written. I believe it's just a web UI that the Bitbucket integration is doing. Yep.
Awesome work. I'm really excited to check it out.
Thanks.
So I own a conversational agency here in town. So as someone that builds bots, one thing that's kind of bummed me out about the other platforms is there's a lot of bot directories for the platforms and not many bot marketplaces where I can actually sell my bot. So one of the things I like about Atlassian is you have this Atlassian marketplace and it encourages this whole ecosystem of development and gives people money and jobs. And I think those are really awesome things. So if I build a bot for Stride, will I be able to offer it via the marketplace?
Yeah, so just so it's on the mic, the question is, if you build a bot for Stride, can you offer it on the marketplace and I'm assuming charge money for it? And the answer is, Atlassian, since the beginning of time, loves its ecosystem and loves its marketplace. So yes, that thing that you saw embedded where you found the things, that's going to be the marketplace. So you don't have to go to the external site. You still can, but you should be able to do all of that in product.
Awesome.
Yep.
Got a question in the back?
Yeah, follow-up question. So you just showed a bot just like that, just getting installed.
Yep.
Does that mean that in the background you're doing something with the script file, or is that a feature to come to? Because that's awesome. I just didn't know how we could actually do that.
So to tell you the flow, what happens is you go to developer.atlassian.com and you register your URL. At that point, it slurps up your descriptor and basically puts it into the platform. By the time all that happens, we no longer need to deal about registration or installation. What we're doing now is giving you access to things. And so when you mention like Stridewolf, all we're doing is connecting to the store that knows, yes, you have been registered. And then we know that you have access to the particular site. And then we go, great, put this into the room. And so that's all that happens. And yes, that's working today.
So there's like another installation process.
It's not really an installation process. We just, you mention somebody and we go, this bot, we'll call it, this app now gets access to this room. By the way, go tell me the UI bits from their descriptor that I need to put in there. But there's no new tokens or anything else. You get one OAuth client ID and secret, and that's all you need for all of time.
Sort of like a universal namespace. Like a universal namespace, and you're just giving it permission to talk in that room.
Yep.
Last question. So a lot of devs are frustrated because they want to get into the beta. I think I've just noticed if I go to signup.stride.com, I can get in, but it doesn't seem like is that like a thing? Because I definitely took another email I had and was able to get them to try. Yet people are tweeting that they can't get in the beta, so I didn't know if there's a disconnect or just two different URLs. One is getting queue and one is get to.
It sounds like my friend Ron wants to answer this one. Go ahead, Ron.
No, I think you were probably right.
So there's a random email you guys want to know about.
I don't know.
Okay, you signed up to Stride, and then my friend did it, and he got into it. So you're like, all right.
Possibly what it is.
Okay.
We've been running cohorts on the waitlist already, so people have been signing up to the waitlist. They usually get an email about it and then but it's possible Push your message out.
Yeah. No, we're in other people like Matt's trying to get in, and so we can ask yeah or in over the stuff. Okay.
Well,
right,
round of applause
cool.
for Jonathan and the strike team. Really impressive stuff. Really impressive stuff they're building over there. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. We did it.